This is the first video in a series that are being provided to give you guidance in working through step by step the operations required to complete the Rhino design project that you're being asked to do this quarter. This video should last about 5 minutes, and there will be a series of them that will work through step by step, showing you the different tools, options, and settings that you'll use in Rhino v5 to complete aspects of the project. What you're going to be working on first is the import of a bitmap, bringing a topo drawing from the outside world into the Rhino environment, scaling it to the proper scale, and then tracing over it to create a digital topographic terrain. So at the end of the first set of videos that I'm showing, and for this week's assignment, you should have traced the bitmap, created a surface, maybe a couple of different surfaces, as you can see here. That surface is a three-dimensional surface that represents the landscape you'll be working in. And then you'll be maybe recutting this topography with different topo lines. We're going to be starting off in metric units and then switching over to feet contours and with feet and inches as the working units. So this is where you're going to end up, and let me get started on the way there. You're going to start by creating a new file. So File, New. I don't need to save changes to this right now. And you're going to be selecting the units that you're going to work in. We're going to start in large objects meters. Large objects should always be used for things like sites, and even buildings. Small objects are usually things, furniture up to about the size of a truck. So large objects meters, we're going to create a new file. We'll remember to save that in a moment. And the first thing we're going to do is adjust our screen layout, our viewport layout actually. So generally your screen comes with the standard set of commands here on the upper left. We're going to go to viewport layout and select at the far left a 3 viewport layout. And if we zoom out, we'll see that we have top or plan on the left, perspective on the upper right, and it starts off with front over here. I'd like to switch that to right by using the pull down and looking at the set view to the right view. We're going to do a couple of other things, but let's start off with getting our layers organized. You'll see on the right, it's very important to have the Layers tab open and to be using it effectively. Also keep in mind that I have chosen a black background to work on for visibility. I find it to be the most easily visible. You can work on whatever background you want and use whatever colors you want, but I usually set things up for pretty high contrast and easy visibility. And where you would do that is in Tools Options, which is an important thing to keep in mind. Tools Options gives you the opportunity to do things like change the background and whatnot. So let's put that on hold for a minute and look at the layers. We always have a default layer. In this case, its layer color is black, and if I were to draw anything here, it would not appear. So I'm going to take that and set that to a gray color. And I'm going to take these other layers, I'm going to get rid of them for now. You can just shift and select them all, right-click, and delete layers. And I'm going to start adding new layers. And the first two I'm going to add are going to be Topo Trim, which I'm going to assign a dark gray color. And another new layer here, Topo Trace. And I'm going to assign that to a red color. And working in the Topo Trim layer, so clicking on that to be the current layer, I'm going to just put a little bit of geometry to get started. I'm going to start with a point, and I'm going to place that point at 0, 0, 0. And I always like to have a point at the origin that I can work with. And then I'm going to draw a rectangle using the top view, starting at that point. So I'm snapping to it. You'll notice the O snaps down below do have point as one of the things that they're working with, and we'll adjust these later. And since we're working in meters, I'm going to set this to 100, 100. So I have a 100 meter square. Now when I look at this, I have my reference plane, which is now set to be 50 meters here. So overall, it's actually 100 meters by 100 meters as well. And that's a little bit big. So I'm going to go back to Tools, Options, and I'm going to change that grid here. And I'm going to say the grid line count is only going to be 10 meters by 10. So that it's there, we can see it, we can use it as a reference, but it's not so much in the way. So the last step I'll do in this video, before we move on to other steps, is to import a background bitmap. And as we've talked about before, you can either type the command, now that you know what it is, background bitmap, and it will show up just by typing back, and you can click on that. Or without typing it in, you could go to View and find background bitmap here in the pull down and place the bitmap. So our command is placing a bitmap. A window opens up for you to find the topo site plan, which is a file that I've provided to you on the course website. You need to copy it somewhere to your desktop or a thumb drive or something. Select it and say Open. And now it's prompting you for two corners. So it wants some geometry to associate this with. So that's why we drew the rectangle to start with. We're going to start in the lower left point of this rectangle in the top window. Go to the upper right corner. And there is our background bitmap. It's a little fuzzy, perhaps, but it's very, very useful for us to trace the contours that will become the site for your project. Last thing to keep in mind is you have to save your project and give it a unique name and save often so that you don't lose your work. So we'll say File, Save, and it'll prompt us for a name. And you can call it whatever you want. I'm going to call this Topo 1 video, let's say. So I know which one this is, right? And I'm just going to put it on the desktop. All right, that's all for this first set of steps. The next video will go through setting up the layers, more layers, and beginning tracing these various contours.